Hi there, I'm Jennifer if you're new here. I had the idea for this video a while back, and I've been slowly making a list of life lessons that I would like to share with you. You've probably seen other creators do this video, life lessons or things I've learned in my 55 years, etc. But we all have different lessons and different things that we've learned. So I thought I would share mine. I've lived nearly 56 years on this earth. 36 of those as a mother, including, obviously, I was a young mother. I was a single mother for much of that. 30 plus years as a registered nurse, 40 years in the workforce, plus all the other things that I've done or I've been labeled daughter, sister, friend. We all have our lists of things that we have been or are. And through my unique life experience, as we all have unique life experiences, I have overcome my share of heartbreak, trauma, and life has carved these lessons into me like bark on a tree. So I'm going to share with you 13 things that I know for certain. Maybe there'll be something useful for you here. Maybe there's something that will help you heal. Maybe there's just something that will help you feel seen or understood. Anyway, here we go. Lesson number 1, there are far worse things than death. I've seen people suffer needlessly for months and years, and I've seen very peaceful and dignified deaths. And the thing is, we're all going to die. Human beings are afraid of death. And it's kind of odd that we put that much catastrophe around it as if it is the worst case scenario. But it's the one absolute truth. It's the one thing that we are certain is going to happen to every single one of us on this earth. It is a part of life, just like birth. There's a beginning and there's an end. Regardless of what your spiritual beliefs are, I'm speaking from a physical suffering standpoint because I'm not going to get into mental and emotional here. I'm just talking about physical suffering, speaking mostly from my own experience with watching my father die. And I've seen families, especially for elderly people or, young people with serious debilitating illnesses or injuries that leave them with no quality of life. I've seen families be so afraid to let them go. So when families refuse to let a loved one die, it is 100% of the time out of fear of having to deal with the grief of losing that person or fear of the guilt that might come with making the decision to let them go. And I want to tell you, my advice to family, if you are in the position where you have a parent or a loved one who's in a position that they're not going to come back from, and you have to make the decision whether to extend their life artificially or let them go. If guilt is your main issue, I do want you to know that there are far worse things than death, and being kept alive for months and years by a feeding tube and IV fluids and all of those things is no way to live. But I've seen it time and time and time again. I have a story about a woman. I think her name was Carol. This has been 20 years ago. She was a retired nurse, and at the time I was, I had been in nursing about 10 years, maybe just under 10 years, and I was working in a nursing home, and she had had a massive stroke. She was probably, I think she was 58, 59. She was total care. She was completely paralyzed on one side of her body, completely. The other side was just, she had a little bit of movement. She could control one arm. She couldn't walk. She couldn't speak. She couldn't swallow. She couldn't feed herself. She couldn't toilet herself. But she there was somebody in there. You could see it in her eyes. And I remember going in to draw blood or crush met, put something in her feeding tube or something. And with her good hand, she grabbed my fingers. And when I looked at her, I saw this pleading in her eyes. She was a nurse. She was an old nurse, and she knew what was in store for her. She had just come to the nursing home after being in the hospital because her family decided they wanted to do the feeding tube and the whole route instead of let her be on hospice. And she knew what was coming. She knew that she was in for a long, long road of living and trapped inside of a body that was no longer functional. And I could see the pleading in her eyes. She wanted to die, and she was pleading with me for some relief. Of course, that kind of thing makes an impression on a young nurse, and I'll never forget her. And then through the years, I saw so many more cases of that. And the family just loved that person so much they didn't want to let them go, and they could not carry the guilt of making the decision of letting that person die because they were so afraid of death as being the ultimate absolute worst case scenario. But as I've been rambling here, I think you get my point. There are way worse things than death. So do your living will. Put your advance directives in order. Don't make your children or your loved ones make that decision on their own. Make it for them, and know that you do not want to live that way. All right, on to something happier. Lesson 1 is really near and dear to my heart, and I just wanted to make sure you got my perspective on it. So number 2, most people that you know are addicted to something, and that includes you, and that includes me. If you're watching this on your phone, I'm going to say there's a good chance that you're addicted to that phone in your hand. Some people are addicted to things that are way more obvious. Alcohol, drugs. Some people are addicted to food. Maybe it's gambling or sex or pornography. But in today's society, we have forgotten how to be bored, and we're very uncomfortable with sitting with our own thoughts. So we're constantly looking for something to numb those uncomfortable feelings. It might be TV. It might be binge watching TV because you can't just stand to sit in the quiet. I know so many people that can't fall asleep without the TV on. And what is it about your own thoughts that are so uncomfortable you have to cover those up? But just realize that whatever that thing is, that you pick it up whenever you have the slightest hint of boredom. And for most of us, it's at the very least, it's looking for that next dopamine hit with our social media and our phone and the mindless scrolling. Just know that you're numbing yourself when you're doing that. You're self-medicating, and maybe stop and think, what is it that I'm uncomfortable with right now? And maybe I can put that thing down and try to be present. Lesson 3, and it's more of a public service announcement, and it's going to be very short. Smoking is the absolute worst thing that you can do for your health, for your life, for your family, for everything. Smoking is stupid. And I'm saying that as a person who smoked. I grew up in the 80s, and I started smoking, I think, when I was 14. And I smoked on and off until I got pregnant with my last child, who just turned 24 a couple of days ago. So just as a nurse who's lived some life and seen some things, I'm just telling you, if you're smoking cigarettes, put that shit down. It's stupid. And I know you're going to probably have to try several times, if you haven't already, to quit. Just keep trying. It's worth it. Lesson 4. You've heard this before. Everybody is fighting a silent battle that you can't see. What you see in real life is what people want to show you. They want to show you their lives perfect. They want to show you the good stuff. It might be social media. It might be somebody you actually know and at work or wherever. You don't really know what's going on. We all have internal battles, all of us. So be nice. Just be kind to people. If somebody cuts in front of you a line at the grocery store, Don't take it personally. They probably weren't even paying attention. I know that I've done stupid things like that, and I'm never doing it to offend anybody. I'm just lost in my own little world. So just remember that everybody's got problems, and you don't see them. So just be nice to each other. And lesson 5, from that, I'll segue into most people are good. Even that asshole that cut you off in traffic and then flipped you the bird. See, number 4, he's probably having a really bad day. Most people are good, and most people want the same things. We want love, and we want security, and we want our families to be safe. And sometimes we're misguided in the way that we think we need to get those things, but most people are good. So really, just try to see the good in people because it's there. All right, ladies, mostly ladies, not all, but probably most of us will need to hear this one. No is a complete sentence. First of all, most of us are raised to be people pleasers and to be useful and be helpful and be selfless and give of ourselves until our cup is dry. And as we age, most of us learn to start saying no. We have to. We have to for our own sanity and for our own peace of mind. But I'm going to add on to that and tell you that no is a complete sentence. When you do say no, you don't have to apologize and you don't have to explain. If you want to be nice, you can say no, thank you. But you don't have to say anything else. You don't need a reason to say no. If you just don't want to do it, that's a good enough reason to say no, and you don't have to explain that to anybody. Lesson number 7, not my circus, not my monkeys. I really love that. And it really describes the concept of I do not involve myself in chaos that does not belong to me. So when you see drama going on, or even if someone in your life tries to bring their drama to you, not my circus, not my monkeys. Do not get involved in other people's drama and other people's chaos. Their circus. Let them handle it. Lesson number 8. Do not set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Again, this is for the people pleasers out there. The people who give, and don't get much in return. Many women, most mothers. I'm talking to myself here. You are allowed to keep your own peace, to have your own space, to have your own boundaries, and to have your own resources without giving everything away. You do not have to earn the right to take up space in this world. Lesson number 9, comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, it steals your peace, it steals your self-worth. Don't let it in. When you find yourself feeling bad because you're comparing yourself to somebody else, nip that shit in the bud. Number 10, long-held resentment is also a thief. If you're holding resentment against somebody, it is not hurting that person, but it is poisoning you. So let it go. Lesson number 11, the need to be right is just another form of caring what people think. If you find yourself needing to win the argument or feeling really bothered that you don't feel that you won the argument, it's because you care that other people think you're wrong. Chew on that for a second. But if you just let go of the need to be right, if somebody wants to argue with you, gosh, especially about politics or any of these issues that keep us divided these days, just let the other person think they're right and go along with your life because it's not worth your peace. And if they think you're wrong and if they think they won, so what? But if you know you're right, you don't need to prove that to anybody. Just go ahead with your life knowing that you're right and don't get involved in arguing about it because it doesn't matter whether they know you're right or not. It doesn't matter what they think. Truth is truth. Lesson number 12, things that actually improve your mental and physical health. Gratitude, real, natural, healthy food, physical activity, time outdoors in nature, and connection with family and friends. Those are the simple, basic things that you need from life to be healthy. If you don't have those things, it doesn't really matter how much money you spend on all the magic potions that are for sale out there. Those are the basics. And lesson 13, the victim mentality will get you nowhere. Take responsibility for everything that happens to you in your life. Sometimes bad things happen and it's truly not your fault. Sometimes you make choices and bad things happen and it is your fault. But it doesn't matter whether it is or it isn't. What matters is what you do with it. Your path forward is not going to be in being a victim and feeling sorry for yourself. Your story is where your power lies. So take the things that have happened to you and turn them into something. Take action and don't be a victim. Be a phoenix. Be a hero. Be your own hero. So these aren't just the lessons that I've learned. They are the truths that I have lived. If I could go back in time and say something to my younger self, I would give them this list and I would tell them, you are not what has happened to you. You are what you do with it. So get out there and take up space in the world. Own your story. Live it fully. Don't apologize for who you are. Don't let other people make you feel less than. You only have this one life, so make the best of it. If you've watched this whole video, I want to thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.